So at this point, everyone, color becomes a choice you can make individually. So I could paint this, I could use crayons, colored pencils, my water-based markers, lots of different options. I'm going to start a couple of these by going ahead and using some paint. So let's say I decide my people that are outlined with blue, I'm going to paint them red. The nice thing is my blue crayon, that acts a lot like a little wall for me to stand inside of. Again, if I paint over my sketch lines, that should hide them. If they're still showing after you've painted everything, it probably just means you need to add a second coat of paint. You guys notice the way I'm using my brush. I need to think about my tools and materials. So around the edge, you probably see I'm just using the tip so I get close to the outline. When I fill in, I actually press down more so that it covers more of the surface. So there's different ways to use that brush effectively. If you've practiced enough, you might be able to just sort of fill in that whole thing at one stroke. So if you notice my suggestions for color, this person's outlined in blue, this person's outlined in blue, so they are on the same team. The purple that's out, or the person that's outlined in purple, they are on a different team. So I'm going to emphasize that by how I paint them. I'm going to fill them in with a different color. So before I go to the other teammate here, cleaning out my brush. Now let's say I'm in that situation. I don't have paint, but I have some water-based markers. So I can go in using the wide part of the marker, sort of do some areas with some of this green. But I don't have to sit there taking the time to color everything in. Just putting some color in there. I'm also going to switch to a stiffer bristled brush because I want to really push that ink around. So I've got my brush wet. When I touch that on there and I activate it, you can see some of that green starting to move around and act a little bit more like paint. If you notice you're doing this and you see little bits of paper coming up, you want to stop, give it a break, move on to the next part, because what will be happening is you'll actually start to wear a hole through your painting, your paper. You don't want to do that. So you can see how this looks a little different than the way I filled in the red person over there. So you want to paint your people. You want to paint things you put around them. The soccer ball here, soccer balls are traditionally black and white, so I think just doing the black with the crayon there is enough. Think about doing your background as well and other objects that went in there. So I look forward to you guys sending me pictures of what you finished. Here's another example of one that I finished earlier. So I look forward to seeing what you guys send me.